Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And this is from another brother as we get into it.
Alright, Shalom. Call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah, Quadash, double honor to the Apostle, Elder Great Millstone, Shalom to Hopeful Lake. Forgive me. This is when you call from the GMS Cleveland camp. They're one with comfort and lesson. And, yeah, man, this is my spirit. This is spirit because, the other Yad, he had said this in the live stream Friday, to be heavily on my spirit, sending comforting videos, comforting scriptures, comforting these AI pictures, etc., that brothers be making, etc., to brothers to chat, to be videos on it. Because this is one of the things that put on my spirit, man, to uplift Jake. You know what I'm saying? Because again, they brothers, hey, we fighting, man, and like I said, I've been in a bitter spirit this last 2 days, man. Even like I said, it's not bad, super bad, what was me, but just the reality of Babylon. It's just you was tired of this shit. You ready for the kingdom? We've been touching on, like I said, spirit been on since last Friday, and like I said, I'm looking at this picture, so I got to have these different clips playing. Specifically, this video varies. This is, man, you got to envision the kingdom, the Apostle Gabar, the beloved Apostle Gabar always goes into, man. You got to really see this thing. Right, and look at this, it's mighty, bro. We're gonna be wearing royal apparel, okay, made out of the best fabric and linen, fine linen. Which I was debating on doing a scripture on that, video on that. I was researching linen because the scriptures kind of talk about fine linen. So I was going through the benefits of linen, etc. I may do a video on that. I'll send it in information chat. But look at Jay with a mighty ass beard, the crown, the chains. You know what I'm saying? The gold rings and the robes, bro, he's royal. Jake smelling good, the flowers, and this is like your royal court or whatever in your land you own. Plenty of greenery, trees, and everything. You saying you got one of your wives here, two daughters. Man, this is gonna be beautiful, man. Like I said, they're all gonna be well taken care of. We actually gonna have our woman, man. We finally gonna have the Israelite woman in her right mind. He's just so bitter. Seeing they're only getting worse. As the days go on, like I said, when you look at social media, you see the shit they're saying. They literally just. It's
And you can have your dogs too, if you love dogs like I do.
Man-hating, rhetoric. Literally, you see videos where these bitches literally they just get off on disrespecting Israelite men. That's literally that there is no goal but that. That's literally the only goal is to just purposely try to get under the skin and hate and slander Israel. It's just crazy, man. It's be disrespectful as possible, but I'm just saying this is what I've always been doing, what I've been doing through my walk is whenever things get bitter, you're so tired, is like I say, I be looking at these pictures, I've been reading the scriptures, like I just got done, I was reading Isaiah 60, I read the whole chapter, and like I said, the comforting verses, and precepts, because the Lord promised. I got some precepts lined up, but I was just playing this, having this play, looking at this, bro, the Lord's getting ready to do this for us, man. We have to always remember that, because again, like I said, you can get discouraged, just said being in this world that's against you. This world is against us, man. But just said we have to understand that. How about Shemel Shai? Yes, equipped us with weapons, okay, spiritual weapons, okay, to continue the battle, man, because it's a constant mental struggle and battle, man. Okay, to not give up, because you see the world around you, the environment around you, your life, everything's against you. But see, in the kingdom, everything's going to be for us. The Lord's going to completely switch everything around. You understand? That, see, this is what roots, and I'm getting spiritual because I'm just flowing in the spirit, brother. Everybody need to hear this, man. But literally, everything's against us, man. But we have to understand, how about Shemel Shai is in complete control. He's in control of everything, every single step. Not just us in our walk, not just us sincere brothers in the ministry, hopefully they elect men, 144,000, but everything, it's like how Shai said, if a sparrow don't fall from the ground unless how sanctions it. So the Lord is in control of everything. He's in control of the way these women behave. He's in control of allowing these heathen empires to rise. He did this on purpose, man. This was part of the story. This is part of the walk. And we have to have faith and trust that the Lord's going to see us through, man. The Lord's going to see us through this hell, man. He's not going to keep us, just torture us here forever, man. He ain't going to have us in this lower state. Okay, here it is, we the sons of God. We down here getting disrespected by our own women. Okay, the mass majority of Israelite men, they're completely out of order. They is into this world and weirdo shit and selling out to Esau. But the Lord, He has a vision for our people that we have to trust in. I'm speaking to myself, like I said, I speak these words to myself, and whenever the Spirit hit me, I'll do an actual video on it. Bro, we have to speak the word of life. We have to read the scriptures. We have to believe the scriptures. We have to believe that the scriptures, the promises. Like my channel name, GMS Seed of the Promise. The Spirit was on me. That's when I first came in. That's my channel name to be, man. GMS Seed of the Promise. We're the seed of the promise, man. The Lord is going to fulfill His word, man. Okay, and that should really keep our heads up to walk through the adversity with a smile, man. You don't got it ain't gonna always be that way. You ain't gonna always be smiling. I'm just so happy, but bro, we good, man. How about Shemel Shai gonna see us through, man? Okay, the Heavenly Father is not gonna forsake His sons, man. All right, the Lord has a expected end, as is written, okay, for His sons, man. He ain't gonna have us in this fucked up state forever, man. All right, the Lord is look at that beautiful waterfall flowing, flowers be smelling good. All types of really beautiful sun, the birds flying, the surrounded by greenery, like say, having your wives and your children in 100% order. Ain't gonna be no attitude, ain't gonna be no adultery, ain't gonna be no just that evil spirit that's in Eve from the beginning. So the third chapter, man. See, it's rebel against Adam, but that's gonna be gone, but the Lord gonna do it good, man. He gonna really set us up, man. He gonna really show us that he loves us in the kingdom, man. All right. The Lord gonna make us perfect. We gonna have to deal with Satan in battle. Oh man, you tripping like, damn, bro, why the fuck am I thinking wicked thoughts? Like I say, even doubting and all they're gonna be gone, man. Like I say, it's beautiful. Like, I think there's a huge palace in the back. Like, but Lord gonna be, he gonna well take care of us, man. So let me get this precept. This is Revelation 21:7. It says that he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. You see, so we the sons of God, man. So we gotta overcome. And we overcome through what? Through Yahushua. Okay? We can overcome through Yahushua. So we gotta hold on to the doctrine. Okay, continue to keep pushing, keep striving. Okay, now I take the chip, like I got a video of the chip coming. Alright, so I did 2 other videos, so it's my 3rd one, but I got a 4th one that wasn't coming. I might not upload it today, maybe upload tomorrow, but on the microchip, man, so you got Jake taking the chip, and we see it, bro. The Lord really got Jake taking the chip, bro. Jake got a fucking brain implant chip inside of him. We are close, man. We are close. We are close to the persecution of the prophets. We're close to, we're really in the stage now where Jake is taking the chip. Okay, we're exposing these false prophets. The Lord is allowing the wicked Israelites, both men and women, to just show how wicked they are. Like say, man, like recently the spirit built women a lot. Recently, like video after video, brothers, woman. You don't even want to watch all of it. All right, I get it. But then at camp Saturday, yeah, wicked woman come up. Israelite woman, fucking Judite woman come up and try to tell us something with the Bible and try to preach that fucking plantation Christianity bullshit. It's just like, man, like, but literally it keeps coming up. It's just bitter, man. It's just so bitter to see our women in this low base state, man. It's just this terrible, this demonic fucking being, man. Okay, it's just bitter, man. But again, the kingdom is coming. Lord, it's crazy because, like, bro, they're so out of order. They've been out of order. You read the scriptures, like, I can't even picture in my head a righteous Israelite woman. I can't even picture an Israelite woman who's in order. You know what I'm saying? But again, the Lord's going to bring these things to pass. Okay, the Lord's going to do these things for his sons, man. The Lord promised that he's going to fulfill it. All right, the Lord's not a liar. He say he is not a man, he shall lie. So again, these are things that we anchor our souls on. Okay, these are the things that we really believe in. So this is Jeremiah 32 and 37. It says, "Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whether I have driven them in mine anger and in my fury and in great wrath, and I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely." You see, so we're going to get our land back, man. Inheritance, we ain't going to be paying fucking mortgages, we ain't going to be paying rent, we ain't going to be having to say, pay, you literally just pay to live. You make literally just enough, fucking literally got 10 cents left over after paying bills, okay, just to barely survive, man. All right, try to be paying this late, paying that late, go without paying this. Okay, I'm not going to pay the Wi-Fi right now, I can pay that next week. Like, bro, the Lord's going to give us abundance, man. He's going to give us peace of mind, man. The heathen will not be over us no more. They will not be able to lord over us. It was like men will be the supreme authority in the earth, man. Right? So he's going to cause us to dwell safely. It says, verse 38, "And they shall be my people, and I will be their God. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their children after them." That's what we're looking forward to. Like I said, if you're Israelite in your right mind, if you're Israelite man in your right mind, you're looking for that new covenant, because that's when I said the Lord's going to change everything. Not just us, because us, we fully accept. Us, but sincere brothers, you a sincere brother, agree with GMS, okay, just sincere brother, Great Millstone, you understand that we can't be 100% perfect here. Now, we try to do what we can, okay, you know what I'm saying? You can not commit adultery, you know what I'm saying? As far as you know, a woman has a man, you can, okay, I'm not going to deal with her, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things that are like plain that you can do, but we can't be 100% perfect. Not only that, we've already committed sins in the past, so we're already defiled, all right? But again, we're looking forward to this new covenant. I'm going to read this again. Jeremiah 32 and 40, it's like Jeremiah 32 and 39. "And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their children after them." So the Lord's going to, in the new covenant, we get the new bodies, and how Shai comes back, Lord willing, is we're literally going to be 100% perfect, because we're always going to have the fear of the Lord in us, man. Okay? There ain't going to be a time where we're like, because see, right now in this flesh, the flesh can overcome you, and you can lack fear in that moment, and then do something wicked, and damn, why I do that? And then the fear comes back. See, but in the kingdom, the fear is going to be always in us. We all know I ain't doing that because the Lord, hey, how about you, Shai? You want me to do that? So that's going to keep it. It's going to be impossible. It's literally going to be, bro, that's amazing, bro. Call Lord, how about Shai? It's literally going to be impossible. It's literally going to be impossible for an Israelite man, woman, or child who sinned forever, for eternity. All right? That's a beautiful gift the Lord's going to give us, man. All right? The heathen aren't going to get that. We're going to get that. Okay? Which is going to cause what? The blessings, okay, to perpetually be upon us, man. So as the curses were perpetually upon us, because we're constantly in this sinful flesh and going off and committing idolatry and tripping, right? They're tripping right now, man. Even in Israel, this recent bullshit with Deacon and his wife and all these jakes on the comment board, bro, literally, man, he's just stupid, man. Stupid is wickedness and folly, man, right? But literally, it's out of order, disorderly conduct. The Lord's gonna get rid of all that, man. Even I want to say, you in your right mind, that's why you understand. You come to the conclusion, like, bro, he's dealing with it. It's like woman playing house. He's not gonna work, bro, because their mind is just wicked. Our minds are we're fighting, man. They're not even fighting. They're remember what the scripture says? It says they are turning aside for Satan, man. The Israelite woman's mind, she's just fully in league submitting to Satan, man. The spiritual demon Satan, and then his physical counterpart Esau, Edom. So it is a lost cause. In the kingdom, we ain't got to deal with that. Like I said, that's gonna be beautiful to witness. We don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to have the Israelite woman completely on the Israelite man's side, 100% and 100% obedience, man. We don't know what that looks like. We never experienced that. Even the mightiest of our forefathers didn't get to experience that. Okay, none of them, from Adam to now, we never got to experience that, but we will very soon. All right? So it says the Lord going to do this for the good of us and for our children, man. The Lord going to do this for us, man. Okay, I say these are words of comfort, man. It says, I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good. I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. Again, we don't depart from the Lord as an Israelite, all the blessings are upon you. Verse 41, yeah, I will rejoice over them to do them good, and I will plant them in this land assuredly with my whole heart and with my whole soul. But thus said Yahweh, like as I have brought all this great evil upon this people, right? The Lord brought a great evil upon us from Adam to now, man. Okay, from the serpent going to Eve in the beginning, it's been a great evil. Okay, it's hell, torment, sorrow, frustration. He's tired of this shit, right? Jake is tired of being tired, man. Constantly having to get slandered by these heathen. These heathen looking down upon us when they ain't shit, man. These women being out of order. This is a bitter thing for the Israelite men, right? So it's like as I have brought all this great evil upon this people, so will I bring upon them all the good that I have promised them. You see, so the good is going to come, man. The good is going to come. All right? It's 100% guaranteed. Literally, all we're doing is waiting. We don't have to wait that much longer, man. Like I said, you literally got Jake taking the brain chip and advertising it, the microchip in his brain, and taking it, advertising it, other Israelites to take it, man. Okay? We're very close, man. It's only a matter of time for the next crisis come, the persecution to come, and Jacob's trouble to come, and Esau makes the microchip mandatory. Mark of the beast, man. We don't got that much longer, man. So continue to endure, continue to believe, man. All right? We're going to do this, man. We ain't going to be here that much longer. The Lord promised he was going to do this for us, right? Hold on, okay, get into this on appreciate you can get, man. You get Zephaniah 3, T, you get Tobit 13, Wisdom Psalm 5, Baruch 4, the whole chapter. I was just going into that earlier, 206. Like, so many, we know these precepts. I mean, I'm just thinking about it, man. Like, but the Lord is just going, he gonna do this, man. Psalms 1, I go to Psalms 126, one of my favorites. And one, it says, when Yahweh turned again the captivity of Zion, you were like them that dream, right? You were in a nightmare, man, waking up like, bro, I'm so glad that's over with, man. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the heathen, the Lord have done great things for them. There's going to be a separation. So the heathen, they've seen our lower state. They've seen us being oppressed by them or being tormented, right? It talks about that in Isaiah 60. And he talks about them, the tormentors, right? The tormentors, our tormentors, they're going to say, man, the Lord has done great things. So the Lord turns us into this. Okay, the Lord turns us into this God estate, right? We have God mode, then we got beards back, we royal, we smelling good, we glowing. Like, bro, when the Lord turns us into this, that's when, man, the Lord had done great things for them. They see how low we were. They see how ill. They know how he has terribly treated us, man. Okay? So they're like, man, the Lord have done great things for them, man. Now he's got them on this high level. And that's being part of the glory of the Lord, man. Even the wicked Jake, they play a purpose. Because the Lord, they don't see, man, these YN niggas, they just degenerates and they match Esau stereotypes about it. They love, so-called crime. They just bang, gang bang, shoot them up. All the women being whores. Like, bro, literally, the Lord gonna clean up our image, man. The Lord's really gonna make us, again, everyone. He gonna waste all these wicked niggas, make the elect perfect. And from that point on, every Israelite that's born is gonna be perfect, man. Okay? So we're gonna stay. The heathen gonna see all this good the Lord does for us, man. They see his low state. Okay? It says then. It says the Lord. Then said they among the heathen, the Lord had done great things for them. The Lord have done great things for us. That's what we're gonna say. Well, we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the south. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. You see, so we've been sowing in tears, and we're gonna reap in joy, man. That reward is finally gonna come. Okay, that great reward, man. What else I'm gonna get, man? Man, it's just beautiful, man. The Lord coming back to get us, man. Very soon. Very soon. Alright? So time is moving fast, bro. The Lord got time moving fast, bro. Alright? That's pretty right on that, man. Like I said, again, it's like you use so many precepts you can get. I'm like, out there, I'm thinking as I'm scrolling right here, looking at the books, I'm thinking about 1 Corinthians 15 chapter, that whole big chunk of that chapter going to there's more immortality. Like, bro, man, immortality is coming, righteousness is coming, peace, rest, man, happiness, man. The Lord's gonna get rid of our sorrow. It's gonna say what? You're gonna wipe away all tears from our eyes, man. All right, all tears are gonna be wiped away. The affliction of his people is gonna be wiped away. Okay, the affliction of the Israelite man is gonna be gone, man. We ain't gonna have to do nothing. Everything on the earth is gonna have to go through us, man. Everything will bow down to Yahushua. King David, 12 apostles, 144,000. Call William Lai, Yahweh Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Kakadash, Yahweh, Apostles, Great Millstone, Shalom to Hopeful Elect, man. Kwame Asherala, keep fighting, I can. Shalom.
Thomas Massie is still one of few members of Congress willing to challenge the most powerful institution in Washington, the permanent war machine. Today, the House passed his resolution to end the war in Iran. It was a rare,
sounds like good news, right?
Rebuke of the conflict that Congress
you know that this war is going to pick up anyway.
Oppose. The measure passed the House with just 4 Republicans breaking ranks to support it. One of them, of course, was Congressman Thomas Massie, and he joins us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations.
Thanks, but we need to spread out the congratulations. I was one of 6 co-sponsors. I don't want to take full credit for it. But I was the only Republican.
So it looks like they can limit Trump's power.
Right,
That's not what the scriptures say. So it's a false hope. But it's out there, so.
Well, they'll almost certainly not honor it. it's actually, we can't make it binding. You can pass a concurrent resolution or a joint resolution. Either way you do it, it's hard to make it binding because it would actually require the signature of the president now, or presentment at least to the president. If you presented it to the president as one of those resolutions and he didn't sign it, then you could override his veto. So actually, the procedure that we used would require a much higher threshold in order for this to be binding. In other words, a 2/3 majority. But this is a major victory. This is the first time after several attempts that the House has passed this resolution requiring them to end the war in Iran. And there's another significance here, Natalie, and that is we've passed the 90-day window. The War Powers Act from 1970s says that the president under certain conditions can initiate military action. Now, they didn't actually meet those conditions, those thresholds necessary to invoke that law, but they still want to claim that they have that authority under that law. But now their 90-day window has expired. So even if they met the threshold under that law to initiate action without congressional approval, after 90 days, they've expired their runway, and that's where we are now. And so this is a significant vote. The White House will claim that they paused the war for 5 seconds and that now they're in a second war with Iran, but that is false because they never stopped the embargo, the blockade, and that is another clear act of war. So the war is still going on. I had somebody on social media post, well, what about the White House assertion that the war is over? I would say go to your local gas station and see if the war is over.
Right, it feels very much like the war in Afghanistan, where there was initially a lot of movement and then it just dragged on for 20 years. The president very well could do that. We're not in active conflict, but we still have a lot of troops there. It's still destroying our economy. It's like we're
You
being
mean like
conditioned
Syria
to
as
live
well?
in this lull of the war.
Iraq?
So at the very least, we realize there is bipartisan support to not have this war, and that will go in the history books. I mean, is there any other way to see it?
Well, there are several analogies here, either to the two wars in Iraq. The first one under George Bush Sr., which we got out of fairly quickly, that might be analogous to last summer's attacks on Iran that lasted just a few days. And George Bush Sr. Seemed to have more wisdom than George Bush the Jr., who involved us in a war in Iraq that lasted virtually forever. And it's just, to some degree, it's still going on. And then there's also the analogy to Afghanistan, which you present, where there was a lot of flurry of activity in the beginning, and then things just dragged on and on and on. I think all three of those analogies are appropriate, except for the fact that in all three of those cases, there was a positive vote of Congress, an authorization for the use of military force. In those situations, the presidents came to Congress and got the authorization to do it, and that's what's absent in this situation. So they're in front of their skis on this, and they've exceeded any kind of 90-day authority, whether that's even constitutional or not, and they're just using semantics now that anybody can see through to try to justify the lack of a positive, affirmative approval of Congress. And what we have here, for the first time ever, is a negative. It's a retribution, not retribution, but to basically remove the authority from Congress. At least the popular support has now been indicated by Congress that the president lacks it.
And like everything else, does not care about the laws, right? Just continues. And that's where we're at now,
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and a special thank you to those of you who, after my recent warning about YouTube actually messing with this channel, went ahead and subscribed to Substack and Patreon. I'm so glad that you did. There are 500,000 of us here on YouTube, and I would absolutely hate to lose you all if this channel is purged. So my Substack, by the way, is still very, very small. We've got barely 17,000 subscribers there, and my Patreon is even smaller. So do take a second now to follow the links below and make sure that you have a way to stay connected. Now let's get back to the topic of this video. For many decades, as you know, the US dollar sat at the very center of the global financial system. Countries accumulated dollars, central banks bought US Treasury bonds, international trade was settled solely in dollars, and America's financial dominance seemed untouchable.
Better known as the petrodollar.
Shift has just taken place. According to a new report from the European Central Bank, gold has now become the largest reserve asset held by central banks worldwide, surpassing both US Treasuries and the euro. Gold now represents approximately 27% of global official reserves, compared with 22% for US Treasuries and 15% for the euro. This is more than a story about precious metals, of course. This is a story about geopolitics, about sanctions, about debt, and the future of the international monetary system.
He that lateth himself up with thick clay,
reveals a remarkable development.
heavy
At
debt.
the end of 2025, gold became the largest component of global official reserves. Not only did it surpass the euro, which it had already overtaken in 2024, but it also moved ahead of US Treasury securities. And I will remind you that US Treasury securities have been viewed as a safe haven asset, as the most trustworthy investment vehicle in the world. Well, that's not the case anymore.
It's not the safe
Central banks
haven.
now collectively hold more than 36,000 metric tons of gold, approaching levels last seen during the Bretton Woods era when currencies were directly linked to gold. What's particularly striking is how quickly this shift occurred. Just a few years ago, gold represented a much smaller share of global reserves. Today, after years of aggressive central bank buying and a massive increase in gold prices, the metal has reclaimed a position that it hasn't held in generations. While the United States dollar remains the dominant reserve currency overall, the composition of reserve assets is changing in ways that would have seemed unimaginable even a decade ago. So why are central banks buying so much gold? The answer begins with uncertainty. Since 2022, central banks have purchased gold at an extraordinary pace. According to the World Gold Council, official institutions accumulated more than 1,000 tons annually for 3 consecutive years before purchases moderated slightly in 2025. Even then, central banks still bought approximately 863 tons of gold last year, which is far above historical averages. Why? Well, first, gold is viewed as protection against geopolitical risk. Unlike treasury bonds or foreign currencies, gold is not someone else's liability. It carries no default risk and it cannot be frozen by another government. Many analysts trace the acceleration in gold purchases to the freezing of Russian foreign reserves after the outbreak of the proxy war in Ukraine in 2022. The event demonstrated that reserve assets held in foreign jurisdictions could potentially become inaccessible during geopolitical disputes, and so it showed that Western-run institutions cannot and should not be trusted by foreign governments. Now, the second reason is central banks are seeking diversification. The World Gold Council's 2025 survey found that nearly 3/4 of reserve managers expect the share of US dollars in global reserves to decline over the next 5 years while gold's share increases. The third reason is governments are increasingly concerned about long-term debt dynamics in major economies. With global debt levels at record highs and fiscal deficits widening across many advanced economies, reserve managers are looking for assets that are independent of sovereign debt markets. Gold actually fits that description. Now, the big question is this the de-dollarization that everyone has been talking about for several years? Whenever gold rises and dollar holdings fall, the term de-dollarization quickly enters the conversation. But the reality is far more nuanced. The dollar remains the world's dominant reserve currency by a wide margin. Most international trade is still invoiced in dollars, global commodity markets remain dollar-centric, and dollar-denominated assets continue to account for the largest share of reserve holdings overall. What we're witnessing, however, is not the collapse of the dollar. Instead, it appears to be a gradual diversification away from exclusive dependence on dollar assets.
So there you go. The beginning. We're in the beginnings of sorrows, right? You know, we're getting there. We're getting towards the end, but there's still a few more things that have to happen. They have to cause it to completely crash, but you see where everything is shifting. Now, you add war to that, you add all the other things to it, that accelerates really fast. And I believe more than anything else, because I read it myself, that the Most High, Yahweh, is going to speed things up for the elect's sake.
Why is the U.S.
So here we go.
After Trump's threat?
Rumors of war, right? He's going to go to war with Oman.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warned that Oman could face sanctions in a post on X. They were responding to rumors of joint Iranian-Omani control of the Strait of Hormuz, under which the two countries would collect fees from passing ships. Back in April, Oman's transport minister seemed to reject the idea, saying that no country can charge fees for transiting the strait. But as Iran kept control over Hormuz and began to set up a transit system, news broke in late May that the two countries were in talks over a payment system in which they'd split the revenues. Oman didn't say anything publicly, but after the threats, Bessent said,
I had a call with the Omani ambassador this morning, and he assured me that there were no plans for tolling the strait.
But it's not just about Hormuz. U.S. anger at Oman began long before that. Known as the Switzerland of the Middle East, Oman has remained strictly neutral in the region's conflicts, so that it can act as a reliable mediator. It hosted negotiations to end the Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s, back-channel talks between the U.S. and Iran for the 2015 nuclear deal, and it helped the Saudi-Iranian reconciliation in 2023. Even though Gulf countries have at times been frustrated by that neutrality, they understand the importance of having a mediator who can talk to everyone. For example, once the current war broke out, Oman immediately set up a back channel with Iran that helped the Gulf states conduct flights in and out of the region. But the US has been less pleased. Oman hosted the 2 rounds of US-Iran talks under Trump, both of which ended with the US president growing impatient and striking Iran mid-negotiations. On the eve of the current war, Oman's foreign minister told CBS,
I can see
that the peace deal is within our reach.
US officials accused Oman of overstating the talks' progress, which also cast doubt on their reasons for going to war, and indicated that they wouldn't be using them as mediators in the future. As Iran's attacks on the Gulf states intensified, so did anger at Oman's stance, which was seen as too friendly to Iran. For example, Oman congratulated Mujtaba Khamenei on his appointment as the new supreme leader, and it hasn't signed on to regional or US-led statements condemning Iran. Instead, it has consistently spoken up against the war, even accusing the US of having lost control of its own foreign policy. As a result, the US has sidelined Oman from the diplomatic process, choosing Pakistan instead, given that it's not a major oil producer and doesn't host a US military base. Oman is not as vital to America's economic or military goals in the region. What it is vital for are plans over the Strait of Hormuz, much of which falls under Omani territorial waters. The US now worries that Oman could give Iran local permission for its plans to control the strait, and even bring Gulf neighbors on board, which is why it's pressuring Oman to side firmly with the US and to cut off Iran. But the threats are unlikely to work. The US and Oman do have long-running ties, but Oman's tradition of neutrality is what helps it maintain its independence as a small state in a volatile region. This is what the US misses. America and Israel have talked about expanding the Abraham Accords, which would see an alliance of Israel and the Gulf countries encircle Iran in the region.
We'd like to have them join the Abraham Accords. It'll be historic. I couldn't hear that to us, to be honest.
But Gulf leaders can't really afford
and they've dragged them into the war,
trying to pursue their big economic ambitions. Joining could also anger their own populations, where there's growing backlash against America and Israel's actions in the region. That's part of the reason why countries like Saudi Arabia and even the UAE had actually de-escalated tensions with Iran in recent years. Geopolitical risk got in the way of economic growth. Instead of helping limit that risk, some analysts have argued that their ties to America and Israel have only deepened it. The Trump administration is trying to change that calculus. Its pressure is strong, its behavior unpredictable, and its threats alarming. But ultimately, its attention span is fleeting. Geography, on the other hand, is permanent.
So there you have it, though. That's what's going on in the news. I believe that's the last one. Yeah, it is. If I can just get this thing off. Alright, Slovakia. Slovakia. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, where it teaches us truth and sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there in the four corners of the earth to proclaim this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash, Brakatum. So, yeah, we ain't got much longer of this kingdom, and yet, what did it say about Babylon? That it would be nearing its end, and people would be fleeing into their own countries, and those that were born here would also be fleeing. Why Americans are fleeing their homeland? Growing number of people are leaving the U.S. and they're not just scared of Trump. For the first time in at least 50 years, most people have moved out of the United States, then moved in. In politics, and Trump mostly to blame, or is some other dynamic at play? Well, the American dream is over with. Last year, the U.S. witnessed something that hasn't occurred since before the Second World War. More people have left the country than moved in, and the bulk of the departures are not merely migrants being politely shown the exit, despite the high cost of emotional toll of digging up roots and leaving the country. Yeah, you know, the affordability. Alright, but speaking of affordability, what do you do when your pet breaks a leg and you ain't got the money for the surgery, right? You're going to try to do everything else. Well, what if the second best thing to do would be an amputation, and you ain't got the money for that either? You ain't even got enough money to keep on paying for vet visits to even change the bandage. What would you do? You see, most people are dealing with those decisions every fucking day. I know I am. That's a trial in my life. And that's just dealing with that side of it. You know, our pets, our family members, and they're there to help us. You know, and it's draining. You know, we're in such a low state that you know, and I'm just speaking for my, you know, for a lot of us, you know, that are stuck here, and but yet we know the Most High is going to see us through everything. It's just still you feel that overall depression. Okay, those that can get out would get out. Despite the high cost and emotional toll of digging up roots and leaving the country, increasing number of homegrown Americans for far widely variety of reasons are making such radical decision. So, like everything else, now I said this during the first term of Trump because I could, you know, the Most High had already given me insight. Now, when I said this to others, they laughed at me, but not the brothers, but just people that I've been in contact with. I said, he's building that wall to keep people in, not from people, not from illegals coming in, but to keep people from leaving. Oh, you could always leave this country. It's like, no, you can't. You can't get out of this country. It's a forever rut that you get stuck in. And he didn't even know what I was talking about. Well, people do want to leave this fucking place. This fucking place fucking sucks. Especially if you're in California or Chicago or something like that. You can't even afford fucking rent. Most of the people are living in the vans, living on the streets, living in RVs, you know, because the cost of living is so goddamn high. And now I add the fuel tax and everything else to that, man. It just, it continues to grow worse. Poverty growing worse. So, for those reasons alone are why people want to leave. You know, I'm just talking about being impoverished. Nonetheless, though, estimated 4 to 9 million Americans live abroad, while recent data shows a surge in voluntary immigration and an estimated 180,000 plus U.S. citizens relocating overseas in 2025. This trend is continuing to rise. For the first time in decades, the U.S. experienced net negative migration. Recent wave of outward migration driven by a mix of economic pressures, the rise of remote work, and shifting social political climates. Some of the popular destinations include Mexico, Spain, Germany, and Thailand. Did I not say that people were trying to get into Mexico? And I said that during the first term. Look at how much things have intensified with the re-election of Trump. But nonetheless, though, the big thing is the de-dollarization. The biggest thing is that, okay, we're seeing a shift, you know, and this shift is continuing. People are fleeing from Babylon, and that's biblical. And this also, the same subject, right? Gold is now the favorite investment of central banks around the world as they dump U.S. bonds. Top economist responds, the signal's one thing, the return of real money. Gold overtakes U.S. bonds as world's favorite investments. So, even Kirk Elliott are talking about the same thing on Alex Jones. Yeah, we'll play some of it.
Gold overtakes U.S. bonds as world's favorite investment. That is one of the biggest headlines ever.
So what does that tell us? That headline tells us that central banks around the world, they want gold. They don't want U.S. treasuries. Or else U.S. treasuries would be the #1 asset that central banks hold. The single premise that central banks are allocating into gold signals one thing: the return of real money. Right? That's what that tells me.
So there you go. They don't want this phony baloney money, right? So there's more.
Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we're joined once again by Mark Gonzalez over at First National Bullion.
Same subject.
We've got some historic news to talk about, which I don't see a lot of people talking about, surprisingly, but it does matter. European Central Bank says gold has replaced U.S. Treasuries as the world's top reserve asset. Now, this is pretty big news as we are seeing, you know, a lot of experts speak out about this. One of the things that I saw was by Stephen Innes, who said some things I disagreed with, but said some things that were also interesting. Gold overtaking treasuries is not a gold story, it's a trust story. The ECB did not create a new narrative. It validated the trend that reserve managers have been acting on for years. He says gold's recent weakness looks more like a weak hands to strong hands transfer than a breakdown of the reserve diversification theme. Now, one of the things that really stands out here, before people tune out and go, oh, this is boring, this is important, because this is a major telltale sign of what's happening with central banks worldwide as a share of gold in total official foreign reserves, comprising both foreign exchange and gold holdings, had increased to 27% at the end of 2025, moving ahead of U.S. Treasuries at 22%. So that is absolutely historic. As Japanese investors sell more U.S. Treasuries for years, a lot of this has to do with the Strait of Hormuz. We're seeing the move forward. I think it's been scripted for a long time. But Nick on X says, this has never happened before in the modern era. Central banks now hold more gold than U.S. Treasuries as reserve assets. 27% gold of global reserves. U.S. Treasuries, 22%. When Washington froze Russia's dollar reserves in 2022, central banks around the world started moving systematically into gold. 3 consecutive years of buying over 1,000 tons each year followed. So this is absolutely huge. It really says, one, a lot about gold, and two, a lot about treasuries and trust in U.S. financial institution. The monetary
see the hammer, the whole earth being broken down.
We're going to go into this and much more.
Economically, it's got to crash to usher in the MOTB.
I urge people, as always,
and look at this, though. This is what's happening.
Check out Vault or put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system. Now's the time to move. There you could schedule an appointment for a free consult. Of course, it's kind of crazy.
Here we go.
Investing in, say, like 10-year treasuries over something like gold. It just doesn't make any sense. But we're seeing in those foreign reserves a massive move at the same time as the Strait of Hormuz crisis. And now we're seeing 27% in foreign reserves for gold. And, of course, only 22% for in the same reserves for U.S. treasuries. What do you think about this move? What do you think it says about both gold and the trust in the U.S. Treasury system?
Everything we've been talking about, you're starting to see the Treasury system fall apart. Countries aren't buying gold because they're just looking for something to buy. They're buying it because, one, it's actual money. It's the backstop of everything. And when you're going into what you know is in front of you, a world financial reprice of how we choose to accept or transmit value, you need to have this backstop with you. What accelerated the gold purchasing of nations is, in fact, what we did to Russia. If you can sanction a country and keep them kind of locked out of a global financial structure, you're going to create a resolute effort to find a way to circumvent that. And gold is actually going to do that. That is why the IMF has teamed up with China as far as Project Enbridge to get the rails of the unit or the digital payment system, which is 40% backed by gold. So it's not by chance this is happening. It may seem like it's coming out of chance, like, oh, this is a random thing. No, nothing is coincidental. This is allowed to move forward. And an interesting thing about I've mentioned this before with Project Enbridge and the unit, you can participate in that system even if you're not part of the BRICS nations. You just need to have your gold in your country's vault. It has to be within your borders, and that gives a true testament to metal, because gold and silver is the only financial asset, the only money that you can hold in your possession that at no other time is anybody else's counterparty risk. You don't have someone playing the opposite side of that trade that's going to squeeze or lock you out. Example, if you can trade ETFs, if they don't have the money to pay you out, let's say it's a leveraged ETF, they're going to reverse split you. You can have capital controls to diminish or prevent your exit from market. I think those things are going to come. Hedge funds do it all the time. They gate members from being able to exit when it otherwise would hurt the greater structure. Gold and silver eliminate that risk 100%. So it's not surprising to me that we're having gold worldwide on central banks' balance sheet be larger than treasury holdings. Some of this is due to price move. Your house goes up, it's going to be a greater percentage of your portfolio. If the price drops, it's going to be less. But the trend is strictly in line with that. And to see Japan dumping treasuries, well, do I need to tell you the writing's on the wall?
And by the way, we know Japan is a huge ally of the U.S., and they've been dumping treasuries for many years, but they're continuing to hit records with this. And I have to say, this is happening, and first of all, this is very indicative, I should say, if I make up new words here, indicative of where things are going, where people are putting more trust back in gold, which is a historic measure of money, which people have used for millennia, versus a funny money debt-based system that no one really trusts anymore, and more people are waking up to. The new head of the Federal Reserve, Kevin Warsh, coming in, that won't change. It'll only worsen, and they're pushing for digital. Now, at the same time, we have multiple countries around the world trying to repatriate their gold from the U.S. Germany has been doing it for years, but Macron has been pushing for this recently, which echoes a lot of historical events that happened in the past with France repatriating their gold. It's the whole reason Nixon moved off the gold standard to the fiat system, because they couldn't pay back their debts and pay back the gold that they said they owned.
There you go. He that laid himself up with thick clay, and that's what the system really is. You see, the U.S. doesn't have the gold. Everyone else does, and it was a domino to fall. And you can see that this last domino to fall, we're not too far from. We're at the beginning of things. Is it going to happen this week? No. Is it going to happen over a period of time, yes. But we could have faith and trust that the Most High Yahweh is going to accelerate everything. He's going to speed things up for the elect's sake. And we still pray that we're part of the elect. I don't want to live in this system anymore. I don't want to live here anymore. You know, I can't even do anything about what just happened except give my love and just rewrap the bandage. That's where I'm at, because I can't even afford to even go to the goddamn vet itself, because it's $400 to $500 per visit. And these things have to be rewrapped over the period of 2 months each week. How the fuck am I going to be able to afford that when I was already barely getting by? I dig through, I recycle it. So, you know, you're already up to your neck in debt anyways, and yet you can't get out of it. It's a forever thing that you can't get out of. But the Most High is going to restore us, and I look forward to that. That's why, you know, I'm still here, and I'm still doing this diligently, you know, and I pray I'm part of that hopeful elect. U.S. executes 2 men in strike targeting boat in Eastern Pacific Ocean. Bombing campaign has killed more than 200 people. U.S. Southern Command said on Wednesday that its terrorists bombed another alleged drug running boat. Here we go again. Southcom said the strike killed 2 male narco-terrorists. I believe these are fishermen's boats, and they keep on doing it. Yeah. Pentagon has also has never offered any evidence backing its claims that the boats it's bombing are carrying drugs, and accounts for survivors and family members of victims of other strikes that were reported by Job Site News suggest the U.S. has targeted fishing boats that were not. So there you go. These are fishing boats, and it's continued terrorism. Yeah, and that's who this Edomite is. He's a terrorist of the world, especially Amalek. Most people in 36 countries hold unfavorable views of the Israeli state. Yeah, I wonder why. Because like everything else, though, they know that they command the U.S. and they sick the U.S. after you. Even King Bibi said that in an interview on The Tonight Show years ago. He says, well, our secret is that we don't have to do anything. We have the United States to do it for us. Majority of people in 36 countries hold unfavorable views of the Israeli state and lack of confidence in Prime Minister King Bibi, right? They have no faith in him whatsoever. The survey conducted February 8 to May 13 found a global median of 67% of adults view Israeli state unfavorably, while 25% hold a favorable view. Views are particularly negative in Muslim majority countries that were surveyed, including Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, Turkey, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem. The majority in most surveyed countries said they have little or no confidence in King Bibi to do the right thing regarding world affairs. Unfavorable views of the Israeli state increased in 13 of the 24 countries where trend data were available since 2025, said Pew. And this is also what's causing these to hate the horn burner with fire, if that's eventually going to happen. But like everything else, though, you have to see the economic wars. You got to be able to pay attention to the economy and what's happening. And indeed, things are accelerating really fast. While they give you their premonition that, okay, this is a shift, think about the acceleration with the strait being closed and, you know, running out of oil. It's going to be a lot more than just a strait being closed. Running out of oil is going to destroy everything, because that's what the U.S. dollar is based upon, is the oil reserves. Trump announces House lawmakers as unpatriotic for passing a resolution to end his war against Iran. Bill passed on Wednesday in a vote of 215 to 208, with 4 Republicans joining Democrats in the support of the effort. Resolution now heads to the Senate, where it has a chance of passing since the upper chamber advanced a similar war powers resolution last month. So, yeah, you got the House and the Senate divided against DJ Trump. But he acts more as a king, so he's not going to care about the House and the Senate anyways. And it's not just Trump, but the guy that controls him, King Bibi. But here we go. This is interesting. You know, while they're pumping up that they still want to meet for a so-called ceasefire and extend the ceasefire. Trump says he would be honored to meet Iran's new leader. That's interesting. U.S. President Trump said he would be honored to meet Ayatollah Saeed Mojtaba Khamenei, the new elected leader of the Islamic Revolution, if a deal is reached to end the war between the two countries. Remarks come after Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Khamenei was elected leader of the Islamic Revolution, following the martyrdom of his father Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei in a cowardly U.S.-Israeli strike targeting his residence in Tehran. The assembly convened an emergency session 3 days later and elected Mojtaba Khamenei. Trump's expression of willingness to meet the new leader marks a notable shift in tone, even as D.C. continues to impose the illegal naval blockade against Iranian vessels and ports. Tehran has repeatedly slammed the act as violation of the ceasefire, which took place on the 8th of April in Islamabad. But, like everything else, though, they're just going to continue going, giving you the so-called ceasefire that doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist at all. Trump softens red line. No reason to retrieve Iran's nuclear dust, as it's effectively entombed, so he's just playing around. He's playing around and acting like, oh, well, actually, we destroyed those last year, his bullshit, over and over and over again. But then he says, well, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't care about anybody else as long as they don't have a nuclear weapon. Trump's remarks suggest the fate of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium is no longer be the central issue it once was. And like everything else, though, well, of course, Hezbollah chief rejects the outcome of Lebanon-Israel talks and says that truce must encompass the whole country, meaning that they have to get out of the occupied territories. Yeah, right. Israeli state leave? They haven't even done that with Syria since they took more land. And they've kept the Golan Heights for years, which still belongs to Syria. Despite ceasefire, which is a joke, Israeli state pounds southern Lebanon. Israeli strikes continue across Lebanon despite the announcement of a new ceasefire set by Lebanese and Israeli officials in D.C. U.S. President Trump hit back on a growing critique of his war, calling lawmakers to vote in favor of a resolution to limit his ability to wage war on Iran unpatriotic. We read that. IRGC said there will be no peace in the region until Israeli state fully withdraws from Lebanese territory. So, you can see that it's going nowhere. IRGC demands immediate halt to Israeli attacks against Lebanon and rejects the West truth, which is just to let the Israeli state keep that, and that Hezbollah has to surrender. Yeah, they're going back to that again, by Balak, the so-called fucking UN envoy, right? Surrender everything and just give up all your weapons so that way the Israeli state can do what they want in Lebanon, since Lebanon works for them. In a statement issued on Thursday, IRGC vowed that the nations of the region will not abandon the Lebanese people as Israeli strikes continue to hit southern Lebanon and areas near Beirut. Enemy must immediately halt its attacks on the people of Lebanon and swiftly withdraw to international borders by evacuating the occupied territories and recognize the territorial integrity of Lebanon. Yeah, they're not going to do it, and they never do. Iran foreign minister warns American bases are legitimate targets, cites no tangible progress in talks. Exactly, there isn't anything. Agashi also again issued direct warning to regional Gulf states. We warn regional states that the U.S. bases used for any aggression against Iran are legitimate targets. He was quoted Friday by Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting as saying, Iran's foreign minister Agashi and Freshmore said that the standing against the world's greatest power equipped with nuclear weapons for 40 days is no joke, and that the world realized the true power of the Iranian nation. And that's true. They stood up to a bully. This war is fast approaching the 100-day milestone in which, and you notice millstones right there. Isn't that interesting? Because like a great millstone, this place Babylon will be destroyed. Which comes Sunday, since Trump first initiated his Operation Epstein Fury. He had, in the opening, assured American public of only a short conflict lasting for a few days. And, like everything else, though, just drags the war on and on. Because the least of the flock has drawn them out and has brought them there. And here we go here. And this is being called out for what it is. Lebanon's rulers have surrendered the country to Israel. There is no ceasefire. See, like everything else, though, we know that the Lebanese government is 100% complicit and is just pretty much the Israeli government ruling in Lebanon. And they're going after Hezbollah. What is presented as a cessation of hostilities is not the withdrawal of Israeli state from Lebanon, but the removal of Lebanese citizens from their own land. An exodus, if you will. The U.S. brokered trilateral statement issued by the U.S. State Department on Wednesday following the latest level of meeting between Lebanese and Israeli representatives belongs to a category of political submission so extreme that it is difficult to locate a precedent in the history of modern statecraft. Ceasefire agreement is not made conditional on Israeli state ending its aggression, withdrawing from the occupied territory, releasing prisoners, or enabling the return of the displaced, but on Hezbollah ceasing fire and withdrawing from the south. Israeli state is not even named in relation to the ceasefire's obligations, and this is why Hezbollah rejects it. So, you know, Hezbollah has to reject because Barak says so. Because the U.S. says so, because Trump says so, because King Bibi said so, right? You follow the line. King Bibi has been the one determining the fate of Babylon the Great. He's going to make their habitations desolate with them. And we can see all that, you know, as they pretty much destroy the economy. As you can see, it's going to continue to be destroyed because there's no ships coming through. They're all stopped. So expect all hell to break loose very soon. But we do want that to happen so we can get the fuck out of here. You know, this place ain't worth fucking living in. And if it wasn't for this truth and everything, you know, I have to say that I'd be in a much worse state than I already am. And I'm telling you, it's just getting a lot harder. But, you know, I know that the Most High has me, and you know, that's why I keep on looking at these things, you know, because it's really hard not to be caught up in the things going on. And just seeing that, you know, a family member of mine is hurt, and there isn't too much I can do about it because I don't have the money. So, as it gets to the 250-year celebration, right, next month, and just the pride of Esau Edom, right, in the heart of it, DJ Chump, right, you know, the proud one, you know, the king of Babylon, just Babylon in general, you know, they're about to get a lot more than just a punch in the face, and this is all happening now, and a lot of them, a lot of their own people are actually leaving. Hey man, if I had enough to get out of here, I would fucking get out of here too. But you know, the Most High put me here for a reason, and I have to stand by that and believe that there's a reason why I'm stuck here in Redding in the northern state of California. You know, that the Most High has me here for a reason. And like everything else, though, all I can do is continue to endure through the faith. And I'm definitely going through trial right now. You know, but I believe the Most High Yahweh is going to see me through if I just keep on enduring. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4 reads, "Behold the proud, his soul is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." You know, that's talking about the elect. We're going to live by our faith, you know. The faith in Yahweh Shai, that he's going to see us through, as long as we keep on enduring, right? Indeed, because he transgresses by wine, you know, that is his treasuries, his money, you know, and his power, his lust for power. He's a proud man. He does not stay at home because he enlarges his desire as hell, and he is like death, cannot be satisfied. He gathers to himself all nations and heaps up for himself all peoples. You know, they oppress everyone, including themselves. Will not all these take up a proverb against him? This is talking about all the nations coming up against him. And a taunting riddle against him, and say, woe to him that increases what is not his, and how long? And to him who loads himself with many pledges. You know, yeah, okay, you signed this treaty with us, we're going to do this and that. You know, and also just keeps on borrowing money. Will not your creditors rise up suddenly? Will they not awaken who oppress you? And you will become their booty. Meaning that, all right, now they're going to get them. They're going to destroy them, ultimately, by fire. Because you have plundered many nations, you know, stolen all their resources. Now they're going to come back. They're going to take it all back, and they're going to come after you. Because you have plundered many nations, all the remnant of the people shall plunder you, because of men's blood and the violence and of the land and the city, that great city, Babylon. And all of it, all who dwell in it. So of all who dwell in it. That's ultimately talking about the destruction that's coming. The Third World War, that lake of fire when the missiles, the ICBMs are shot against this place. Woe to him that covets evil gain for his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of disaster. You give shameful counsel to your house, cutting off many peoples, and have sinned against your soul. As we talk about Esau, Edom, and they're, again. Woe to him who builds a town with bloodshed and who establishes a city by iniquity, which is all that America is. Because, behold, it is not of the Lord of hosts that these people labor to feed the fire, and the nations weary themselves in vain. Meaning that, you don't even make enough to get by. You can't even take care of your loved one when they are hurt. You're fucking... It's useless. You can't do anything. You're stuck here. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the power of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. So, we all have our trials right now, but the Most High is going to take Edom, is going to take the heart of Edom off the face of the earth. Eventually all Edomites will be destroyed, and I pray that I don't get caught in the destruction coming, which is why we do this work diligently. I pray part of the hopeful elect. I pray you're part of the hopeful elect. If you're hearing these words. Then I will say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekal Kadash, Wa Abal Babal. Barakatam, Jehovah elect. Shalom.